I have one of my favorite bands on, and I'm so happy to have them. The band is Superstar Mafia. And I like to right off let everybody hear how you all sound. So instead of me telling you, introduce you and saying your individual names, I'm just going to go around the horn and have everybody do it. Starting with Scotty.
My name is Scotty McBee. I play drums with Superstar Mafia, occasionally guitar, as you have as well, Marlon.
Deanne Kent, I sing, and I also play saxophone for the group.
I'm Nate Leonard. I sing for the group also.
Skip Godley, boom bass. That's what I play, is bass, and I do a little background singing and a little front.
I'm Joseph Ranahan. I play guitar, and every once in a while, I rap.
And I am Michael Small. I play keyboard and do some backup vocals, and supposedly I'm the king. I'll have to let other people explain what
Most of the managing and the back work.
Handle the books.
You said? Did you say the king, Mike? Did you say Michael?
Yeah,
you
it's a running joke that I'm sure we'll get into more as we go along.
I was gonna say, well, like Elvis, king as in Elvis. Is it like that?
Not as in Elvis. I'm not shifting my pelvis in.
No, as in the king on his throne that gives all the orders.
This is sitting from the throne giving the orders. Okay, that's your style. Okay, I'm gonna throw a question out to get it started. It's okay, whoever wants to answer it, but I want everybody to know, how did Superstar Mafia get that name? Where does that name come from?
Okay, well,
go ahead.
who wants to start? The name comes from, well, there's a story here. We all met, Nate, myself, and Michael, we all met at a jam for Prince called the Purple Jam. And it was here in Kansas City about 3 years ago. And at the time, right?
2016.
4 years
and
ago.
there was a drummer there at the Purple Jam. His name was Jerry. And Jerry came up to us and started talking about putting a band together. And one thing led to another. We got other musicians, but Jerry was the one that came up with the name. It started out as Superstar, what was it? Superstar Karaoke.
With the name Karaoke Mafia. And I added the Superstar. I'm pretty sure I added that. But yeah, it was his idea was the Mafia.
And I took away the karaoke, just letting you know. So.
Thank you.
It was a little overkill, to be sure.
But that's how it all became. We all had little bits and pieces.
Oh, okay. I remember there was, go back to Deanne, there was a karaoke element is what I remember in the very beginning. You guys were going to be a karaoke.
I really
you could play
that original. They all had, when I came into the band, I was kind of the last hurrah with Jerry. I mean, I ran into these guys at a jam. What was it? Jerry's Jam Night, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Probably.
Little team on the wall bar, Jerry's Bait Shop in Lenexa, Kansas. And I ran into Michael and Jerry, and they met me, and they said, hey, you should come out and play with us, after they had heard me several times at Jam Night. And I was really hesitant, I'm not going to lie. I thought,
I don't blame you.
Run.
I don't blame you.
And I was already in a band that had kind of slowed down. We'd been together for about 7-8 years, and we not playing as much as we were. So I was kind of looking for something anyway. So I did go out, and that's when I met all these guys. And I was already very familiar with actually Scotty, who is playing drums with us now from Jam, and he'll let him speak more about that. But when I first went, they had the karaoke name, and when they actually invited me to come in full time with the band, about maybe a month later, 2 months later, after the first.
No, you actually just became official like a month ago.
Yeah.
Probation.
It took probably till, was it mid or late 2017 is when I can't remember the exact date, but little did we know when we first started working with Deanne that she was the missing piece of the puzzle.
That was neat.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that time when they asked me to come on, I said, okay, but I think we should maybe kick out karaoke. I just don't see that really being part of the fit. everybody discussed it, and we kind of dropped that piece and it became Superstar Mafia.
She wanted to kick a couple of the other members out too, but we.
Not true. Not
You know, Nate. You know, Nate.
Shame.
You're right though. Yeah, you're right, Nate. That having the male and female out front and the chemistry that you guys have. I mean, that's of utmost importance for this product. I even saw that, and I don't even get into all the fancy stuff. Like, oh wait, but
Hey, let me ask Scotty a question. Scotty, so
yeah.
how did you come to them, and what was your impression of them when they first approached you to start playing with them? Had you heard them before?
Well,
or what?
I'd kind of like for maybe Skip or someone to finish the Jerry story before I expand upon that.
Oh.
Mm.
Michael,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Michael.
So as a lot of people like to say, as far as his band is concerned, we're Superstar Mafia, and Jerry is basically the Godfather.
Now,
Because
Jerry, let's say Jerry's full name. So
Jerry is Jerry Baton. Jerry Baton is drummer, friend, extraordinaire. He is the person that, as I believe Skip alluded to before, we met at this Prince tribute performance almost 4 years ago now. And he had sent out this mass email that said he was looking to start this band. And a few of us foolish people responded, and we ended up meeting at Kelly's down in Westport. And thus a band was born. And a couple of people have since changed out over that, but that was very, very short-lived. Seth came in very, very shortly after that. And then Deanne was pretty close behind that. But Jerry was sort of the foundation of this. And he's a drummer who's been around since the 80s in a bunch of different bands. And he is
Right?
What's that?
The Symmetrics was one of his big ones, right?
It was one of his bands, yes. Symmetrics and Deej and Season to Risk, a few others. And not only was he an amazing drummer, not only was he a super loud drummer, as Scotty can certainly attest to, he also is, I think, the light and sort of, in many ways, the heart of the band. His fatigable spirit and his humor, I think, always propelled us forward. And in terms of the obvious part is, well, where is Jerry? Well, unfortunately, Jerry had a form of cancer that he had long before he met any of us. He had for several years. And unfortunately, last year, he succumbed to it after a very, very hard fight with it. We were lucky enough not only to play with him, but I think we were also all fortunate, and put Scotty in that as well, since he was there for us, to have performed at Jazzu last June, where Jerry had been sick for months and was unable to perform with us because he was just unfortunately too weak. Came out almost like Michael Jordan for one last shining performance and just knocked it out of the park. Scotty was on standby the entire time. The expectation, to be frank with you, was Jerry would play 4, 5, 6 songs, maybe more, but not much beyond that. And then Scotty would come in, and Jerry was just, I don't know. I'm
in the zone.
It was something else. It really was.
It was obviously a kid.
He wanted to do it. It was obvious. It was in his. That's how he wanted to go.
He remembered.
Yeah,
that was in his DNA. He just, if there's something he really wanted to do, he figured out a way to make it happen.
And Jazzu, just in case for the viewers don't know, Jazzu is a huge event that's been, I think it was the 30th anniversary when we played of Jazzu, and it's at the actual Kansas City Zoo, and it's a huge fundraiser for that.
I played.
I have to remind myself we're in Kansas City, and obviously not everybody's watching this is going to have any idea what Jazzu is. So thank you.
I actually played one of the early Jazzoos when it was actually jazz.
Oh, well, there you go.
Back when all I did was play jazz drums.
Yes. So with having said that about Jerry, and I'm going to ask a few more questions about Jerry, but at this point, Scotty, so this is where you came in. So talk to us about that.
So I was already a fan of the product. I knew it was it was a very good, exciting product that was going on. Ultimately, where I first came involved was they needed an emergency sub for Joseph for whatever reason, and I think it was at Jerry's. So, and that's a place where I'm a pretty well known entity. That jam night that Deanne brought up, I've been hosting for 18 years. So, I made sure I knew.
Jerry's Bake Shop is a venue, not Jerry the drummer.
Right, yeah. Clear that up for the non-Kansas City and people. So anyway, so I made sure I knew 4 hours of the band's material, so I can come in and play that night. And then I subbed 1 or 2 more times on guitar. So all the while, Jerry was still drumming. And in fact, he might have even been in remission, because I remember when he showed up one night and he was in remission, and we were so excited for him. And then, I remember when we found out that it came back. So, so then I'm trying to make this bit real quick. So his cancer did come back. He's obviously then started having to fight it and even go to treatments out of town for periods of time. So, and I didn't want the product to suffer. And drums is my main instrument, even though they mostly up to then knew me as a guitarist. So I started subbing for Jerry whenever I could. And there was a couple other drummers in a pinch that were called upon. So I ended up doing most of the shows for the last, year and a half, 2 years. So, and I'm in a million other bands. So of course I had commitment issues about even joining the band. It's only really been in the last, since quarantine, that it's like, well, who knows what it's going to be like after this. And we've been working real hard on doing the online shows that we'll also talk about. So, so I guess I'm a member now. So,
and Scott. Oh, I keep going for the microphone when I'm not this way. Okay, Scotty played with Ida Macbeth, who's a Kansas City legend. So he did that. Scotty has a vast history of music that he's played. So we're very lucky to have him.
So Scotty's old is really what we're trying to say.
Yeah.
So he's been playing since 1873. Is that what you're saying?
See, Marlon knows. Marlon's read the history books.
Hey, Scotty. So Ida, yes, Ida's jazz. Your background is jazz, correct? Is that where you started?
My degree's in percussion, because I did study percussion pretty hard, and I landed the Ida Macbeth gig right out of college. So I graduated the Conservatory of Music in Kansas City in '96, and within a month or two of graduating, I'd already been playing a lot of jazz gigs anyway, so I was kind of a young known entity. But so then I played for 19 years straight with her. And I only left her band 4 or 5 years ago to start playing more guitar and a lot more rock and roll. I just kind of went back to my original roots.
And he played with Bloodstone. He did a recording date with Bloodstone.
I played on the last Bloodstone album. Yeah,
that's right. Very, very talented, and we are lucky.
But I'm the new guy in Superstar, so that's enough about me. Get to the real guys, the ones that paid their dues in this band.
Seth, what is your influence? What's your musical influence? You're the guitarist, so who do you listen to? Where's your influence?
Old virtuoso rock, your Joe Satriani, Steve Vai. I've been banging the hell out of some aristocrats lately because Guthrie Govan is
so good.
the greatest guitar player of all time.
Yeah, Guthrie Govan is good.
Yeah, but as far as my my actual play style, I think I'm kind of in the Kenny Wayne Shepherd meets David Gilmour range.
Also mixed in with Air Supply a little bit, right?
Air Supply? Hair Supply?
Lost in love.
He's never heard of Air Supply. This is great.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
You can't get off my lawn.
But here's the other thing that Seth does. This is really interesting. This really blew my mind about him. When we first started out, he learned all the cover parts. He learned all those songs, and we do a big variety. But he'll play stuff in between that's like Frank Sinatra, Strangers in the Night. Where'd that come from? Or Stevie Wonder, or, some bossa nova or something just, totally off base. It's like, wow. So he has a big range. He has a very big ear.
Works for me.
Varied taste. I just don't practice because I'm insanely lazy.
Yeah.
Our guitarist,
Get off
ladies
my
and
lawn.
gentlemen.
Lee, Deanne, what's
one
your
more thing. He plays violin. That's how where he used to play violin, right, man?
Oh, wow.
He plays violin. He's a violinist, actually.
Oh boy.
Wow.
And we're trying to get that. We're trying to incorporate that into the band.
I finally got my
That's
pickup
interesting.
installed this year.
Okay. Michael, contact information for Superstar Mafia.
Sure. You can always go to Facebook. You can certainly leave messages there. You can contact me directly at 913-481-9437. Email is Amazon Michael Efferson Frank Small 13@yahoo.com.
Okay. Mike, so to you, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, brother. What do you say?
In terms of the best of times and the worst of times,
Oh, when all the gear was stolen,
Worst of times. The worst of times was when Jerry passed.
and the worst of times when
That
Jerry
was
passed.
the worst of times when he.
Unquestionably.
I would say that for me, the band and the personal part are almost interconnected, because going through this and sort of evolving with this band and with these people over the last few years, Jerry in particular, Jerry was one of my absolute closest friends. There was a point where we lived just a couple blocks from one another, and we were seeing each other. If we didn't see each other on a daily basis, we absolutely talked to each other on a daily basis. And getting to know him and having him be sort of the centerpiece of the band is absolutely the best of times. And getting to meet everybody in this band as a result of that only increased the best quality of that. Worst of times, though, absolutely, as you guys were saying before, was his passing, and that was incredibly hard. That was incredibly hard for me personally. I know that was incredibly hard for everybody in this group, and there was a void that was filled. But through that void, I think we have managed to come out on the other side, and we have found a new place. It's not the same, but it's somewhere new, where I think that we're all happy to be. And we want to continue forward. Scotty is going to help continue to propel us forward, and we'll go in new directions and continue to make hopefully great music along the way, and continue to evolve with these friendships along the way. And if that is the take of that, then I think that's pretty damn good.
The king has spoken.
The king has spoken. Okay. With that, I want to thank Superstar Mafia, Seth, Deanne, Michael, Scotty, Nate, Skip. I appreciate you guys coming on. We hope to hear a lot from your band in the coming weeks and months, and I wish you all the success. You're a fantastic, outstanding, dynamic group, and I'm glad to know that you're still out there plugging away and playing, doing the thing that you do best. This is Marlon Bankston, and this is Conversations with Marlon. Thank you for watching.
Thanks so much. Stay safe.